Welcome to Southend United season 1995-1996. The season dawned bright and sunny, but would it end that way for Southend United? They couldn't have had a better start. 4 minutes gone at Portsmouth, Andy Thompson with the opener. The lead lasted until 5 minutes before half-time. Jerry Craney levelled. 2 minutes later, Southend scored again. Own goal, unfortunately. Steve Tilson, the unhappy man. After the break, it got worse. Midway through the second half, United found themselves 3-1 down. Minutes later, it was 4-1. Craney through the heart of the defence, Simon Royce given no chance. The Essex club finished strongly, however, with Tomo hitting his second goal of the game. But the 4-2 defeat wasn't the sort of start new player manager Ronnie Whelan would have wanted. The next game saw United at home at Roots Hall against Luton Town. And football wasn't the only thing on the agenda. 10 minutes gone, Phil Gridler clashed with Kerry Hughes. The referee decided it was a yellow card for Grids, but a red one for the Luton man. He obviously had a long name that took quite a bit of spelling. But Southend couldn't take advantage of having the extra man, no matter how hard they tried. The Blues had plenty of pressure, but the ball just was not going to go in. The game was actually won by a solitary goal, and it went to Luton Town. No pretence at football, just a long clearance, but a slight error by Julian Hales and Luton cashed in. Tony Thorpe the man to beat Simon Royce. 2 successive defeats made it look as if the bookies might have got it right when they nominated United as possible relegation candidates. Game number 3 away to Millwall, a tough one, but a fighting performance by red-shirted United and keeper Simon Royce earned a point in a tough goalless draw. United now needed a win to cement their improvement, and that's exactly what they got at the Hawthorns against West Bromwich Albion. Andy Thompson was involved in the build-up. He ran in to finish it off, 1-0 to the Blues. Ronnie Whelan's men held that lead until just before half-time. They then conceded an equaliser to a header from Paul Raven. Plenty of defenders around, but the tall defender rose above them all. Once again, United defence under pressure. This time, though, they managed. And what a fine goal they got from this clearance. David Regis' goal reminding United fans of many a Stan Collymore run. A fine goal after a good, strong, aggressive run. 3 points to Southend, their season truly up and running. At Roots Hall again, Reading were the visitors. United included new £50,000 signing Paul Byrne from Celtic. They put the pressure on. Reading's luck held, something of an escape. But United then down to 10 men. Skipper Mick Bodley showed his second yellow card of the game, then the red, and then off he went. The early bath had struck. Reading suffered a similar fate. 2 yellows, of course, equal a red. And that led to 10 men against 10. But unfortunately for the spectators, none of the 20 able to score. 0-0 the result, and the first meaningful league tables of the season showed Southend down in 18th place. A break from league action brought international football to Roots Hall in the Anglo-Italian Cup. But this game didn't help establish friendly relations between United and Brescia. A bad-tempered skirmish with most of the players on the field involved in one way or another ended with Chris Powell and an Italian sent off. Surely a case of mistaken identity in Powell's case. The referee was having none of it though. He knew best. Powell had to go. No doubt about the game's third sending off, however. Phil Gridlett chopped down. Salvatore Giunta sent off. Oh, by the way, the game finished goalless. Southend didn't fear the long trip to Sunderland. They'd won there on their 4 visits. Not this time, though. Craig Russell hit the only goal of the game 5 minutes before half-time. It was nearly a draw, though, but Sunderland held firm. The league table showed Southend had slipped to 4th from the bottom. Not the happy hunting ground it had been in previous years. Sunderland, like United's next opponents, Derby County, were destined for promotion. And Southend's poor start to the season continued with a 1-0 defeat at the baseball ground. United then next to bottom. Yet another big-name club in the next game, Wolverhampton Wanderers at Roots Hall. When Wolves went a goal up after 29 minutes, things didn't look like improving. Don Goodman was the scorer. But United fought back and fought back well. With half-time approaching, Phil Gridlett hit the equaliser. A rare treat, it was Southend's 3rd goal in 8 games. The Essex club secured only their 2nd league win of the season with a brilliant goal midway through the second half. Gary Jones the scorer. Southend 2, Wolves 1, and United go up to 5th from bottom in Division 1. The Blues were at home to Crystal Palace next in the Coca-Cola Cup Round 2. They took the lead 10 minutes before half-time when Paul Byrne scored for the first time since his £50,000 transfer from Celtic. The lead lasted until midway through the second half. Nigel Martin's clearance bounced perfectly for David Hopkin to lob Southend keeper Simon Royce. Southend regained the lead 9 minutes from time. Byrne the provider this time. Here comes his cross now. Watch for Gary Jones. That'll do nicely. The joy didn't last, however, as Palace forced an equaliser seconds before the final whistle. Hopkins hitting his 2nd goal of the night. Southend 2, Palace 2 it finished. And both teams set up nicely for the second legs a couple of weeks later. The difficult start to the league season showed no signs of relenting, with Leicester City next on the list. Julian Hales gave United the lead, though. And despite Leicester equalising, United were not to be denied. Don't get confused, United in red. Leicester were eventually to go on and regain their Premiership place through the playoffs, but that didn't impress Southend. Julian Hales turned out to be the man of the match with a hat-trick. It was to be the only one by a Southend player in the season. Obviously a good result, a great boost to confidence, but more importantly, 3 vital points to lift the club up to 15th position in the First Division. Perhaps it wasn't going to be a bad season after all. In truth, the defence did rather help Julian, but I guess he just didn't mind. Another victory lay in store with the visit of Grimsby Town to Roots Hall, a 3rd successive league win in fact. The stalemate with Grimsby was broken 6 minutes from time by substitute David Regis, a valuable strike for United and for the player. He backed himself to score the first goal of the game and was delighted to collect his winnings from the bookies. 1-0 to the Blues. They go up to 11th in the division. Now Southend donned their yellow kit for the return leg of the Coca-Cola tie at Crystal Palace. 2-2 from the first leg, remember. Palace went 3-2 up within 15 minutes and added another for a convincing win. Perhaps least said, soonest mended. Southend returned to league action away to Birmingham City, this time wearing the red, but they didn't perform as they would have wished. Steve Claridge scored twice for the home side to end United's run of 3 successive league wins. They remained safely in a mid-table position, though early season hopes of a promotion playoff slot seemed but a distant dream. Despite a good dive by Simon Royce, it was still 2-0 to Birmingham City. Mid-October and back at Roots Hall, Southend were at home to Sheffield United, whose manager Dave Bassett had predicted at the start of the season that Southend were certainties to be relegated. David Regis rammed that remark down Bassett's throat. He hit Southend's opener. The Yorkshiremen, of course, are nothing if not gritty, and they forced an equaliser a mere 8 minutes later. But Bassett's remarks had been pinned up in the Southend dressing room, and the team responded with some vigour, both to the article and to the fact that Sheffield had equalised. Steve Tilson won the game for the Blues with a superb shot. Straight as an arrow into the far corner, a sweet victory. Southend United 2, Sheffield United 1. And Dave Bassett's remarks have been well and truly put in their place. Up to Merseyside next. Southend unable to cope with the dashing wing play of Tranmere's Pat Nevin or the precocious talent of 19-year-old striker Ian Moore, who scored that first goal just before half-time. Southend manager Ronnie Whelan felt the goal shattered the confidence of his team. They wasted several good chances before Nevin and some sloppy defending allowed Gary Bennett that second. Nevin completed a hat-trick of assists by setting up the final goal in the dying seconds, Moore once again firing home. Huddersfield Town at Roots Hall next in line. A good effort by the Blues, but equally good save by the Huddersfield keeper. Another corner, more pressure, everybody up for the victory, but it wouldn't come. Southend had to be content with 1 point from a home goalless draw. Into November, Southend at Vicarage Road away to Watford. 5 minutes gone, David Regis, another super goal. The Watford equaliser came midway through the first half. Darren Caskey, on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, the scorer. Southend regained the lead 1 minute after the interval through their on-loan striker, Paul Reed, the Arsenal man on target for the first time in Southend's colours. No wonder he's so happy. The joy didn't last, though. Watford squared the game 8 minutes later. Kevin Phillips, the man on target. Blues defence just couldn't get the ball away. Watford 2, Southend 2. But a point on the road, no mean feat. And talking of on the road, how about this one? We're back in Italy in the Anglo-Italian Cup, and it's the Italian team from Salernitana taking the lead. And what they could do once, they could do twice. Southend getting in a bit of a mix defensively. Mick Bodley and Chris Powell misunderstanding. In go the Italians. They lead 2-0. But But as we've noticed before, Southend in this season were real fighters. And they fought back. Good ball out to the left, a good cross. And a cracking volley for the goal from David Regis. That's how it finished. Salernitana 2, Southend United 1. Back home in the league, it was Stoke City at Roots Hall. And on trial, Peter Belsvik headed Southend into a 25th minute lead, and all looked well. Southend had started this game unbeaten in their last 8 matches at their Essex headquarters. But they conceded a soft goal 8 minutes later when Mike Lapper gave away a free kick. And then poor defending let the Stoke City players in, 1-1. Southend did regain the lead early in the second half through Julian Hales. A well-taken goal, but then the Blues' defence somewhat let the team down. Two Stoke goals in the space of 4 minutes left United 3-2 behind and struggling, with manager Ronnie Whelan furious with the way his defenders had played. To add insult to injury, Stoke's third went in through the legs of goalkeeper Simon Royce. It was United's worst defeat of the season, and that was confirmed when Simon Sturridge completed his own personal hat-trick and made the result Blues 2, Stoke City 4. And it meant Southend dropped 2 places. At this stage in the season, they were down to 16th. Following 2 Coca-Cola Cup matches, United then entertained Crystal Palace at Roots Hall. And David Regis opened the scoring. Then a real stroke of bad luck saw United concede an equaliser. The Palace shot bouncing off the bar onto Mike Lapper's foot, an own goal, 1-1 it finished. Then it was a trip up the A12 to Ipswich, Southend in red, Ipswich in the lead. United equalised on the hour though. Paul Byrne's free kick met by David Regis. It was his 6th goal of the season. The set piece a triumph for training ground practice. 1-1 the final score. Then it was a long trek up to Oldham. Red-shirted United collected all 3 points, a David Regis shot, an own goal by Oldham's Ian Snowdin. 1-0 to Southend, but they did have Simon Royce to thank for that. Back at home and in the more familiar blue shirts, United took on Birmingham City. A fairly ordinary opening half hour came to life when the visitors took the lead. Steve Claridge, the man on target. That did bring the game to life, and Southend equalised 2 minutes before the break. Paul Byrne's free kick. Skipper Mick Bodley with a fine header. And then some quick-fire action. Just 1 minute later, United took the lead. Byrne again involved, and manager Ronnie Whelan was tipping the midfielder to play for the Republic of Ireland before too long at this stage. It was Byrne's shot that bounced off the keeper. Who was on hand? David Regis yet again. More pressure from the Blues produced a 3rd goal midway through the second half. And it was Mr. Byrne who found the net to complete his superb individual performance. 3-1 to Southend, and as a result of that, they moved 3 places up the table to 13th. And Bernie and his pals found a new way to celebrate. Having won at Leicester earlier in the season, Blues tried to repeat the feat. Julian Hales set up a good chance. Unusually, it was wasted. There must be something about playing against Leicester that Julian likes. That was a super pass, and the goalkeeper did well to save. Corner to Southend. The ball bobbing around like a pin table, but it was Keith Dublin who scored that opener. The smile says it all. Leicester, though, didn't earn promotion for being a poor team. They fought back, a good diving header giving Simon Royce no chance at all in the United goal. But United were not to be denied. A good corner by Byrne, a bit of heading, a bit of passing, and it's in. Now, where did they learn to celebrate like that? Phil Gridlett, the happy scorer. A good back header, right over the goalkeeper's fingertips. 2-1 to Southend and the double over Leicester City. It was going to be harder to progress in the Anglo-Italian Cup. Southend had to win against Foggia to stand any chance of getting through. Julian Hales won a penalty. Mike Marsh scored his first goal for United after signing from Turkey. That was 19 minutes gone, but in the second half the Italians made most of the running. 1-1, Simon Royce given no chance. And then with half the Italian team wearing gloves to keep warm, they rammed in a second. That's how it finished, and United's Italian adventures were over for another year. Southend 1, Foggia 2. Back to the domestic game and up to Blundell Park. The Christmas tree in the corner gives it away, just like the defence giving an early present to Grimsby of that goal. Once again, though, Southend fighting back and doing well. You can tell by that picture it was Mr. Byrne that scored. Port Vale at home now, getting nearer to Christmas with every day. And it took Southend just 19 minutes to break the Midland team down. Bit of head tennis coming up in the penalty area. But watch out for Mike Marsh. A cracking shot, and in it goes with the aid of a backside deflection. The lead lasted until the 33rd minute. Blues then conceded a goal from a corner. Lots of United players in the area, but somehow that Vale man managed to lose them all. But, as we've said before, United do know how to fight. And this fight back ended with that trip. Keith Dublin goes down. No doubt in the referee's mind, a penalty. So up stepped Mike Marsh, and he calmly hit the winner. 2-1 to the Blues. At this stage, they were unbeaten in 7 league matches. They moved up 1 place. They were 10th in the table, just 4 points behind the leaders. After a happy Christmas day, down came a light smattering of snow, and United found themselves at Carrow Road on Boxing Day against Norwich City. A good save by Simon Royce. And he more than earned his money on this Boxing Day visit. Despite all their off-field troubles at the time, the Norwich players really knew how to put a team under pressure. Southend and the defenders really had to concentrate. At times it wasn't pretty, but it was really effective. Nothing much changed in the second half. Norwich a lot of the play. Southend, good scrambling defending. And as often happens under these circumstances, there's a breakaway for the team who've been on the rear guard. Keep watching, because here comes the goal. Look at Gary Jones, what a flick. Now that's how to celebrate Christmas. 1-0 to Southend United after being under the cosh for nearly the whole game at Norwich. New Year's Day 1996 dawned with 6,500 people at Roots Hall, Barnsley the visitors. It was a no prisoners taken tough sort of encounter, with Southend grateful to the bar for keeping Barnsley at bay. United did have their fair share of the attacking play, and whenever Paul Byrne got the ball, the crowd are always on their toes. That was the nearest they came. United 9 matches unbeaten. It was their best league run in 10 seasons. For a change and a bit of light relaxation, Southend were drawn away to Premier club West Ham United in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. They battled hard, but John Moncur managed to squeeze the lead for the Hammers in the corner. Simon Royce unsighted in the goal. Despite Southend's best endeavours, West Ham added a second. Coincidentally, a throw-in from almost the same position. Matt Hughes, the man on target. Southend straight in, then straight out of the FA Cup, 2-0 to the Hammers. Back to the league action in Division 1. And United's cracking league record was shattered at Kenilworth Road. 9 matches unbeaten, and it came to a sad end. They were only 1 down at half-time. A good move down the Luton left. And not surprisingly, Simon Royce beaten from close range. In contrast to the close-range goal, Luton added a second from long range. An unstoppable shot right into the corner. Perhaps that's why they're so happy. Southend continued life under the cosh. Although it has to be said they were really unlucky with that 3rd goal for Luton. Deflections all the way. United's one success was scant consolation. They scored late in the game, Paul Byrne the man on target. But the 3-1 defeat dropped United to 9th in the table. The next game was back at home against Portsmouth. It didn't start too well. A poor clearance by Mark McNally gave the ball away. Portsmouth didn't waste the chance. Paul Hall, the scorer. Although Simon Royce nearly got it with his outstretched leg. It took Southend until midway through the second half to equalise. It was a scrappy affair, this goal, but McNally happier than most to have cancelled out his earlier error. The joy of the Southend players doubled 6 minutes from time. They grabbed a winner. Chris Powell out on the left, showing all the skills he used to have when he was a winger with Palace. A super cross, and Steve Tilson just nodding the ball in. 2-1 to the Blues, and they were up to 4th in the table. And they were at home in the next game. Millwall in the unusual green and white strip with the visitors. And Southend had them under pressure for just about the whole game. They had to wait a long time for a goal, though, but it was worth waiting for. It followed a corner, and Mark McNally with a super diving header. 1-0 to the Blues, and they stayed in that heady position, 4th from the top in Division 1. David Regis this time, and that confirmed they were doing well. The season was looking really rosy after all. For all the fans who agreed Southend were doing well, it came totally unstuck at the Hawthorns. West Brom took an early lead. They added a second after the Southend defence failed to clear the ball. Then they added a third when a few defenders were standing not moving. Scant consolation once again, a late goal, but the damage was done. West Brom 3, Southend 1. Derby County next at Roots Hall. And watch the right foot clearance. Chris Powell had left Southend. He was now with Derby. But I'm sorry, Chris, the half clearance allowed Southend in. Andy Thompson on target, his first goal since August. No wonder he was so pleased. But Derby, throughout the entire season, were a tough nut to crack. They fought back and they levelled in the second half. Possibly offside, but nonetheless a well-taken goal. There was certainly no doubt about their second goal. A slip there by Keith Dublin, allowing the white-shirted striker to step up. 2-1 to Derby. Southend down to 6th in the table. 1 week later, another big game away to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Welsh international Eric Young heading in. A big crowd at Molineux then celebrated another goal, and this time it was a former England international who helped set it up from the right wing. Steve Bull with the ball now, and it was his cross who led to Andy Thompson scoring again. But I'm afraid that's Andy Thompson, the Wolves fullback. 2-0 to Wolves. Southend slip again, at that time down to 8. And then they suffered a fourth successive defeat 3 days later, although the fog did its best to save them against Sunderland. Anthony Barnes gave away a penalty, although not many could see it. Martin Scott did beat Simon Royce. Apparently, 17-year-old Michael Bridges scored a second, but it was amazing that the game was allowed to be completed. No weather problems as we move into March, and Norwich City, the visitors to Roots Hall. And all could see clearly as Paul Byrne fired home a superb long-range effort. But what does he see when he celebrates? Midway through the second half, Norwich levelled the scores, and that deprived Southend of a much-needed win. But at least they took a point after 4 defeats on the trot. They did, however, drop one more place in the table. At the end of this game, they were sitting in 10th position. Next up, a mere 2 days later, a trip to the Valley, and third place Charlton Athletic the opponents. And what a performance from Ronnie Whelan's men. Andy Thompson brought down for a free kick. Byrne took it. Keith Dublin headed home. And there's that smile again. Old Dubs doesn't score many, but he really enjoys them when he does. All that work and practice on the training ground with Ronnie Whelan and Theo Foley certainly paying off with Southend's set piece. In the second half, a sweeping move brought goal number 2. Thompson to Jerome Burr, Steve Tilson sliding home his 4th goal of the season. And that just confirmed the manager was right to recall him to the first team. And then, just 55 seconds later, United made it 3-0. The long ball from Mike Marsh was chased by Thompson, and the Scotsman thoroughly deserved his goal after a hard night's work. A great win, and it took United up to 7th in the table and rekindled hopes of an end-of-season playoff place. 5 days on, though, those hopes were somewhat dented when second from bottom Port Vale took the lead in the Midlands Sun. But not for the first time in the season, United fought back well, and before the interval break they were level. Simon Royce with the long kick. The ball eventually falling to Jerome Burr, and he hit his first goal for the club after starting the move in midfield. The Blues couldn't contain the home side, however. Vale earned all 3 points midway through the second half, when a packed United defence failed to get in a telling clearance. The next game saw Southend back at Roots Hall with Charlton the visitors, a mere 10 days after the 3-0 thrashing they gave them in South London. But Charlton took the lead after Burra climbed all over Chris White, and the referee had no doubt about the penalty. Paul Mortimer had no doubt about scoring either. But Burn down the left helped create an equaliser for the Blues. Burra involved with the goalkeeper, and it was Andy Thompson who took advantage by heading Southend to a 1-1 scoreline. Next game saw the Blues, in red, on their travels away to Reading, and what a match it was. The home team Reading took the lead, but once skipper Mick Bodley outpaced. In the second half, the red-shirted United players were again caught out by a speedy Reading attack. 2-0 to the home team. Southend looked down, but they weren't out. A Mike Marsh free kick saw Roger Willis beat the offside trap and the goalkeeper. But again, Reading breached United's defence and looked likely winners with a 3-1 lead. United, though, were having none of that. Keith Dublin chested down the ball, and that allowed Willis to grab his second of the game. 3-2 and all to play for. And Andy Rammell scored his first goal since joining from Barnsley, and that ended a breathtaking match, 3 goals apiece. And talking of Barnsley, Southend were there 4 days later, and again conceded the first goal. Simon Royce kept the home side at bay to start with, but had to pick the ball out of his net midway through the first half after sterling work that had kept his side in the game. It did seem that he was unbeatable for most of the first half, but Barnsley finally found a way through. But United's 2 former Barnsley players worked hard for the equaliser. Midfielder Phil Gridlett set it up. Andy Rammell headed home. 1-1, United in 10th spot. With 8 games to go, they were just 2 points away from the playoff zone. A home win over Tranmere Rovers was to lift the Blues up to 7th spot. 78 minutes had passed before a goal was scored, but it was worth the wait. A cracking shot from Paul Byrne, who was increasingly being mentioned as a possible Republic of Ireland international in the near future. 1 minute from time, Jerome Burr wrapped up the point with an equally powerful shot, again coming from the right of Southend's attack. 2-0 to Blues. The home fans in the crowd of just under 5,000 as delighted as the players, as promotion seemed a possibility through the playoffs. 3 days later, though, United's playoff ambitions were effectively ended at Sheffield United. A comprehensive 3-0 defeat dropped them from 7th to 9th, but it was a result that they never really recovered from. They were to win just 1 of their remaining 6 matches, in fact. All 3 goals at Bramhall Lane were scored before half-time. It just wasn't Southend's night. Defensive clearances fell badly. Sheffield players benefited. Even Simon Royce, enjoying a magnificent season, could do nothing to stop the goals. It was a long night for the travelling Southend players and the loyal supporters. A long journey for no reward at all, but that's football, as any professional will tell you. It was a similar story for the next game, away to another Yorkshire team, Huddersfield, in the magnificent McAlpine Stadium. The only difference this time was that United scored. Roger Willis on target, but again the defence conceded 3 goals and faced another miserable journey home down the motorway. Easter Monday brought Watford to Roots Hall, but Southend weren't in a happy holiday mood when the visitors broke away to take the lead. And to think this opening goal came from a Southend free kick in a good attacking position. It looked all over for the Blues, but once again that fighting spirit came to the fore. With literally seconds left to play, 18-year-old Leo Roger earned a point for the Essex team. The promising defender was on as a sub and playing up front. With skill like this, who knows where his best position might be now? That left Southend with 4 games to play till the end of the season. They were at Palace for a 4th meeting of the campaign, 2 draws and a defeat for Southend so far, and no joy from this meeting. United in yellow, a goal down after 7 minutes. 12 minutes into the second half, it was 2-0 to Palace. Friedman scored his 2nd of the game, and United heading for mid-table comfort. They were now down to 11th spot. Ipswich were United's next opponents, and the Anglian visitors grabbed the lead after 6 minutes after robbing the home defenders of the ball. At this stage, Ipswich still hoping for points for a playoff place for themselves. Southend's recent signing Andy Turner from Spurs crossed though for Keith Dublin to head in the equaliser. Let's watch for Dub's smile again. With the match drawing to a close, United snatched a winner. Mike Marsh picked the ball up in the centre circle. It finished in the Ipswich net. A cracking goal and a first win in 5 games, but United still down in 11th position. The Blues brought their home season to a close against Oldham Athletic, and they seemed to be heading for disappointment when the visitors took a 3rd-minute lead. United has spent a fair bit of time under pressure, and this was the corner that brought the goal. Not the best of markings, but Jerry Craney, who'd scored against them for Portsmouth at the start of the season, was on hand again to score his first for Oldham. Midway through the second half, United were back in the game. Keith Dublin bundled over United's penalty. Once again, Mike Marsh stepped up. Once again, he scored. 1-1 the final score to end their season at Roots Hall. And so to the Victoria Ground Stoke for the last game of the campaign. Nothing at stake for Southend, really. Stoke, though, needed points to make the playoffs, and they got them with the game's only goal. United finished in 14th spot after promising perhaps to do better. But an exciting season with good goals to enjoy and the hint of making the playoffs themselves. Their 46 league games finished with 15 victories, 14 draws and 17 defeats. Let's hear what the players say about the 9-month season.
Despite the injury, you've enjoyed yourself first season at Southend?
Yeah, it's been great, you know, it's a lovely little club, it's a nice little ground, people are nice here. My family is settled here, so I'll give it a little bit more time next season. Hopefully, it'll be better than this one.
And you say that you feel you struck a pretty good relationship with the fans here at Roots, so? Yeah,
you know, there's a few people come. You know, some weeks you'll have 6,000, 7,000, some weeks you'll have 5. That's understandable. But it's a nice little ground, and when there's only 4,000 or 5,000 here, it still feels like it's packed because they're a good bunch of fans, and I hope they come back and see us again next season.
What you be hoping for next season then here at Southend?
Well, hopefully, you know, the manager's been looking at a few new players. He's brought a couple of players in himself this season, so he knows what he wants. And then hopefully we'll be pushing, you know, we should have been pushing for like the playoffs this season, but with the injuries and whatnot, you know, a couple of bad results on the way. Hopefully next season we can put that right and push all the way.
And the season on the whole, it's been a pretty good one for Southend.
It's our best season, I would say, without a doubt. We've been 4th position twice. We could have gone 2nd a couple of occasions if we'd have won. But on the whole, I think we've had a superb season for such a small club, relatively speaking, in the division. If you look at some of the other clubs like Wolves, Millwall, Leicester, there's some big clubs. I think we've done very, very well.
And like you say, reached the heights of 4th place earlier in the season.
That's right. We were getting a bit of a nosebleed, I think, when we got up that high. But a little bit of inconsistent form, I think, towards the last third, which we didn't have last year. We had the best form at the end of last year. But we'll finish strongly. We finished strongly. I mean, we got a win last week. Draw today against a side who are battling against relegation, which isn't too sad.
So the lads aren't too disheartened at the way they've slipped down the table?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, we'd like to finish as high up as we can. Obviously, we want to finish above 13th because we won't have to go into the first round of the Coca-Cola Cup, which is always a bad round to be in. But to finish 11th, 12th speaks great volumes for a small club like this with limited resources.
And it's good team spirit amongst this bunch of lads.
There is, yeah. We brought some new faces in. A couple of lads from Scotland, Paul Byrne, Mark McNally, Mike Marsh he's come over from Turkey. Ronnie knows very well. And the lads all get on so well. The dressing room buzzes on a match day.
So what you'd be hoping for next season then? Next
season, hope much of the same really. A few more wins away from home, I think. Our away form is really what let us down when we was in 4th position in the table, when we was going really well. So if we can concentrate on getting more points away from home, and then like our home form's superb, we play really well at home. If we can do that, then I think next season we'll have much of the same, if not better.
And you yourself personally looking perhaps for a 2nd Player of the Year in a row?
Well, it'd be very nice, yeah. If picked, obviously. Sammy's still about and still a great keeper. We'll have a nice rest now, and see what happens in pre-season.
Yeah, we finished mid-table, but I mean, I'm a winner. I want to be up there, and for me, I've loved every minute of it. Skipper in the team, and I'll get a chance next season. But now I'm disappointed, if I'm being honest, because I just don't want to be middle of the table. I want to be up there, and I know the gaffer does as well. So it's a bit disappointing. But on the other hand, with the injuries we've had, if we could have kept the side sort of solid, and I don't see why we could have easily made the playoffs.
Still finished above some big clubs in this Division 1.
Yes, we have. I mean, that just shows you what a good group of lads we've got, and I think it'll bring some more into strengthen the team, which will probably make things a little bit better as well.
So what's the team spirit been like in the camp this year?
Brilliant. I can't fault it really. The lads are stuck together, and even when we lost a few, there's no one like sort of going off in little cliques and whatever. It's everybody stays together, and that's the ingredient. That's the secrecy of like having a good team spirit.
Marnie's got you playing some nice football on occasion.
Yes, he has. Yes, that's right. Yeah, which is good, and hopefully we can develop onto that next season.
So what will your hopes be for next season then?
Promotion.
Just you can sum it up in that one word.
Promotion, yeah.
Ronnie, generally a pleasing season for Southend?
I think if you're looking at a school report, it could do better. We had so many ups and downs along the way, but I think at the end of the day, with the amount of injuries we've had, we've done fairly well.
You seem to have struck on the word inconsistency and singled that out as being one of the club's problems.
I said that at the start of the season. I said if we're consistent, we'll get somewhere. But it was the inconsistency that kept us from getting near the playoffs. Hopefully next year, the lads know they've had me for a season now. They know what I want, and I know what's expected of them. And hopefully next season we can get a bit closer.
And have you enjoyed it, your first full season here?
Started off, I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I think we had five points from 7 games. But then we went on a run of 11 games without defeat, and then we got to 4th in the league. And they're the nice parts. Well, then you've got to take the good with the bad. But overall, I've enjoyed it.
Like you say, we got up to 4th, and it was pretty exciting times at the club at the point.
It was very exciting, but then we got a glut of injuries, and they weren't just little twinges here and there. They were like broken legs, hernias. I think it knocked the stuff on ours in the end.
But still, the club sort of stayed on their feet, and they've finished up in a reasonable position.
Yeah, we finished mid-table, which is great. People expected us to be relegated at the start of the season, but the lads have been brilliant all season for me. They've battled away every game, and they deserve to be where they are.
And what sort of positive thoughts would you have then on this year that's gone by?
I think that I've got better players into the club. There's 5 or 6 players that you can build a good side around now. The squad as a whole is a lot stronger. And if in the summer I can buy 3, 4 players, quality players, and then we'll be there or thereabouts next year.
Outstanding players of the season for you?
The goalkeeper's got to come to mind. He's kept us in so many games. He's kept us, or he's given us an awful lot of points. The 2 centre-backs, Bodley and McNally, have been very good. And
nice to have Marshy and Borney who can pass the ball and play football. But the likes of Keith Dublin and people like that who've come and played everywhere for me. He's gone left back, right back, centre forward. And people at a small club like Southend, people like Keith Dublin are invaluable to the club.
There's good team spirit in this bunch of lads.
Yeah, great team spirit. They all get on well with each other. They go and have a drink together, they have a laugh together in training. And there's no animosity between any of them whatsoever.
So what hopes have you got then for us for next season?
Hopes. Got hopes that'll win the league, but whether it happens or not. No, I think we'll do okay next season. I wouldn't put money on us to be relegated. I might have £1 or £2 that we might get in the playoffs.
And the riches of the Premiership would then be awaiting?
It'd be close, and they do. Like for Southend, it'd be tremendous. It'd be the biggest thing ever.